The courtroom was tense, a silence so thick it pressed down on everyone inside. Rasheeda stood firm, her eyes locked on the glowing scroll in the judge's hands. This was not an ordinary document. Its words shimmered like threads of light, pulsing with an energy that felt older than time itself. The judge raised the gavel, and the slam that followed echoed through the room like thunder. "Judgment rendered," he declared, his voice carrying a strange weight. "The child is his. The Frost line is broken." Kirk Frost's body reacted before his mind could process the words. His breath hitched, his hands trembled, and he grasped the table to steady himself. But the weight of the judgment was too much. He felt the world shift beneath him. Rasheeda turned to him, victorious yet hollow. The glass behind her shattered, not from an impact, but from the intensity of her emotions. Kirk's aura seemed to flare with grief, guilt, and a sorrow older than this courtroom. Whispers from the past, voices unseen, seemed to rise from the shards at his feet. He collapsed to his knees, eyes wide, lips moving to speak a name only Rasheeda recognized. "Jasmine," he whispered. The judge blinked in surprise, and just like that, the case ended. But this ending was only the beginning of a much darker story. Before the courtroom drama, before the scrolls and binding magic, there was a girl from Atlanta and a boy who thought he could escape destiny. Rasheeda had always been strong, not because she wielded magic, but because her spirit burned with determination. Kirk, on the other hand, was born under a sky struck by lightning, a storm with no clouds. Village whispers told of his unusual birth, of the midwife who fled in fear. His grandmother, Aura, had once confided that Kirk carried an unfinished soul, a part of him bound by forces older than anyone could understand. Rasheeda did not care about the whispers back then. She loved Kirk fiercely. Their marriage had been a rebellion, a fight against curses, family expectations, and even prophecies written in old scrolls. But the betrayal with Jasmine changed everything. This was not a simple affair. It was a binding, a magical connection that spanned multiple timelines. Rasheeda tried to forgive him. She burned scrolls, poured honey over his pillow, and whispered old love spells. But nothing could undo the truth of the prophecies. The courtroom that day was not just a place of law, but a place where magic and reality collided. Kirk appeared before the judge, wearing his grandfather's ring, iron to resist enchantments. Rasheeda wore her mother's veil, a cloak that protected her from unseen forces. Every word they spoke, every glance exchanged carried the weight of past and future lives. When asked if he consented to the binding, Kirk could not answer in this timeline. His silence spoke volumes. Rasheeda's heart broke, not just from betrayal, but from understanding the depth of the consequences. The judgment's ruling confirmed the child support claim, but it was not gold or money that was at stake. The judgment involved soul balance, timelines, and magical depths tied to Kirk's very being. The child, an innocent bystander in a war of fates, carried within him fragments of multiple realities. Kirk could not bear to face the child, for in every glance he saw both the child he loved in another life and the one he had abandoned in this one. His guilt was suffocating, his reflection in mirrors disappearing as if his very essence had been fractured by the ruling. Rasheeda's victory in court did not feel like victory. She had won the truth, but it came at a cost she could not yet understand. The magical community began to stir, whispers spreading through underground taverns and hidden circles. Elders and guildmasters spoke in hushed tones about timelines, echoes, and the power that the child now represented. Kirk was no longer just a man. He was a vessel caught between realities, haunted by memories of lives he never fully lived. 3 days after the verdict, a mysterious package arrived for Rasheeda, sent by a courier she knew only as Raven. Inside was a mirror shard pulsing with Kirk's aura, wrapped in a blood-stained ribbon. A note written in handwriting she recognized warned her that the child she thought she had won was not truly his. The warning was clear: return the Soul Scroll or Kirk would face unimaginable danger. Rasheeda's heart pounded as she realized that the courtroom case had only unlocked a far greater battle. Jasmine returned at that very hour, no longer a simple figure of scandal, but a woman carrying the weight of otherworldly forces. She spoke in riddles, her eyes silvered with power, and announced that the child, the prophecy, and the Frost legacy were far more complex than anyone understood. Rasheeda, now at the center of a magical struggle that stretched across timelines, understood that her role had shifted. She was no longer just a mother or a victor in a legal case. She had become a guardian of balance, tasked with